Basically, this is our week's harvest from our garden, and today we want to try and see how we can use it before it gets spoiled. Yeah, so in order to preserve our harvest, I decided to make some hot sauce. Basically, this is the year where we harvested a lot of chilies. It's mostly cayenne peppers. I've got a few Carolina Reapers in here as well. But yeah, this is been the year of peppers and tomatoes. I also have some frozen in the fridge, trying to preserve it that way because we do want to make some pasta sauces as well. And yeah, basically this is just the start of our harvest. I've already given away a lot of hot peppers to some of my colleagues at work, and they can testify that especially these thin little red ones are extremely hot. It's also a variety of cayenne pepper, I'm not sure what, but yeah, I think it tastes a lot like it. And then we've got some other cayenne peppers that aren't so hot, but it's very flavorful. The Carolina Reapers for a bit of heat. And also the tomatoes. We've got some awesome paste tomatoes. And like I said, it's basically the start of the season, start of the harvest season. So the tomato plants are still full of fruit and it's still busy ripening. But the paste tomatoes were excellent, or are producing excellent, as well as our slicer tomatoes. We've also given away quite a bit of this already to our family, to our neighbors, and also some colleagues at work. We eat daily, but to be honest, we can't keep up. And as you can see, some of them are busy nearing the overripe stage. So I quickly want to jump in and put this to use and preserve it. Also, we had some onions, all these pickled size onions that we harvested and let it cure for a while now. Not exactly how long, maybe a month. And yeah, I'm going to use this in the recipe as well. We wanted to pickle this in any way, so why not use it in a hot sauce recipe? So welcome back to our channel and welcome back to our kitchen. Today we are turning our garden harvest of fresh tomatoes, fiery hot peppers, some sweet bell peppers and sweet pickled onions into a rustic farm-style hot sauce. This is a recipe that blends tradition with our own homegrown flavor. So my wife and kids quickly helped me to peel all these pickled potatoes and potatoes. There we go. Welcome back to our channel, One Step at a Time Farmstead, and to our kitchen. And today we are turning our garden harvest of fresh tomatoes. Stupid fly. Welcome back to our channel, One Step at a Time Farmstead, and welcome back to our kitchen. And today we are turning our garden harvest of fresh tomatoes, fiery hot peppers, some sweet bell peppers and some sweet small pickle onions into a rustic farm-style hot sauce. This is a recipe that blends together tradition with our homegrown. This recipe blends together tradition and our homegrown produce for that extra special flavor. My wife and kids helped me to peel all these pickled onions quickly. Or pickle size onions. They are really very sweet, as well as to basically just cut all these sauce tomatoes into halves. And then there was a couple of the slicer tomatoes that we also use because they are at the stage where they over-ripen quickly. I've taken some of our sweet peppers from the freezer that we harvested and put away, and then all our hot peppers as well, and cut them into chunks. And we are going to start roasting our tomatoes and onions at 200 degrees Celsius in the oven until the skin blisters and the edges basically caramelize. This step basically concentrates the sweetness and add a smoky depth that will carry through the fermentation. So I'm going to pop this in the oven and let the onions and tomatoes just caramelize a bit. And in the next step, you can chop your peppers and decide to either leave the seeds in, like we do here, or you can remove them. It's up to you. But leaving the seeds in gives the sauce that extra fiery kick to it. And once we've done that, I will add the hot peppers as well as the sweet peppers into my fermentation jar while the tomatoes and onions are roasting away in the oven. Make sure that your jar is clean and sanitized, because we don't want any bad bacteria or nasty bugs in there. So there's one crucial step that I missed, and that is I need the weight of all our ingredients that we are going to add to the jar. So I'm just going to take these chilies and quickly weigh them, and I'll make a note of that. So we sit with 538 grams, so it's just over half a kilo of our peppers. And in the meantime, we have removed our tomatoes from the oven and let them cool down a little, and I just want to weigh them as well, the tomatoes and onions. Babe, sal jy net 'n noot vat van 538 plus 3012. Also, I'm leaving my skin on the tomato, but you are more than welcome to remove it if you wish. But like I said, we are making a rustic farm style hot sauce. Plus 3008.
6558.
So 6.5 kilos. So the total weight of our tomato, onions and chilies and peppers come to 6,558 grams. So it's just over 6.5 kilos. And I need 3% of that weight in salt in order to have a healthy fermentation. So for a total of 6,558, I'll need 196.74% grams of salt. So let's say 197. There we go, 197. And I'm just going to add this little by little and stir it through. You can also dissolve your salt in water to form a brine and then just add the brine. But I actually want to keep some of the juice of the tomatoes, so I'm not certain how much water I will need to add. There we go. I basically don't need to add any water because the juice of the tomatoes provides all the water I need. But I do have to ensure that all the bits, solid bits, stay submerged under the water. And to accomplish that, I take a large freezer bag, fill it with some water, get some of the air out, and I'm gonna work this in on top of the, there we go. And this will weigh everything down so it's not exposed to air. And so the next thing we need is our fermentation lid with the bubbler, and let's lock that into place. And I'm going to fill the bubbler with some sterilized water, and there we go. It's in the fermentation vessel and it's ready to go. So we will leave this for about a week, maybe two. You can leave it for longer, and then we'll move on to part 2 of this recipe. So this is basically part 1. Make sure that the bubbler is nice and tight. And I think I actually overfilled here. There we go. So now we just wait for fermentation to kick off, and yeah, I'll give you an update as soon as that starts. For now, we leave it at room temperature, like I said, for about a week or 2, and see how the fermentation is going. Thank you for spending time with us, but I don't think I'll end this video here. I'll continue on. So we've let this ferment for about 3 weeks, hey babes? 3 weeks today. And, excuse me, there's a little layer of yeast that formed at the top. So if that happens, don't stress too much about it, unless it's like a green or orange or black mold. This is, you know, a pure white, basically just from the yeast that settled at the top. If that bothers you, and you can see that I also replaced the lid with a piece of cling wrap and a rubber band. It's just that the lid and the bubbler broke, but I just took a film of cling wrap and pierced it with a needle so that the gas can escape. But yeah, so we can just take this layer. Oh, Lucia, can you please bring me a small little bowl where I can put this in? So next, I'm just going to scoop this out and let some of the liquid strain. So after you messed everything on the kitchen counter, we are going to take the pulp and move it over to the food processor and blend it very, very fine. I apologize for the bad lighting with the window at the back here, but that is what I have to work with the space in my kitchen at the moment. But yeah, it's the first time I'm using this food processor, so let's see if I can actually figure this out. Lucian, move that pot for me please, and we move this closer.
Move it by.
Let's put the lid on, lock it into place, and go. And if you need to, you can just add a bit of that liquid in there for it to mix. Lucian, can you hold here for me, please? So now we're going to mess on this counter as well. That's not going to work. Lucian, get me a ladle in that drawer. Now we're messing on the floor.
It looks like a...
So I'm just going to take a ladle of this juice. Well, let's say about 2 tablespoons. So I pureed this down. Let me just show you a picture.
I can still see the chili seeds.
That's before and this is after. So nice smooth puree. I'm just going to take this and move this over to the pot, and then I'll scoop in the next batch. Carolina Reapers are mixed in there somewhere. And we'll continue this process, until everything has been pureed. So the benefit of having a couple of these food grade buckets is, first of all, that I can use it to measure. In the previous video where we measured for the salt, our chilies and tomatoes and onions came to the weight of 6.558 kilograms, and with me straining the liquid from it now, I can actually measure to see exactly how much of my pulp is by weight, and I need that because we need about 1/4 of that weight in our vinegar that we add. But you can also do it according to your own like and consistency, but about 1/4 of the weight. So say for every kilogram you'll need 250 milliliters of vinegar. So I'm taking my empty bucket just to weigh that and zero the scale. Then I take the bucket with the juice and it gives me 3.17 kilograms. So 6558, which was my initial weight, minus 3170 gives me a total weight of 3.388 at the moment, and 25% of that gives me 847 milliliters, or let's say 850 milliliters of vinegar that I need to add. But first I am going to start cooking the pulp on the stovetop. The reason for that is you can use the sauce as is. It is fermented if you want to do it that way, but we are going to store it for a long while. So the reason why I am going to cook it and boil it is to end the fermentation process so that our hot sauce can be shelf stable for a long period. Yeah, so let's start with that. So I'm just bringing up my sauce up to a boil, and at this stage you can add some more herbs and spices or whatever to taste. I am going to add about a tablespoon or so of garlic and a little bit of oregano and basil. Some crushed garlic, maybe 2 tablespoons. About a tablespoon of oregano, however you pronounce it. And the basil I'll add just as I switch off the heat. So now that I've got it to a boil, I am going to add vinegar, 850 milliliters, and let it boil for about 20 minutes. Adding the vinegar. Luckily there seems to be enough space. I noticed a little chunk here or there still, so I'm keeping my stick blender close by at hand, and yeah, trust me to make a mess. So we've got that chili sauce on the stove boiling away. No, actually it's finished. I've just switched off. My wife is busy sterilizing some of the bottles for us, where we will bottle it in, and then I tasted a bit of it. It's got some nice flavor, nice heat. It doesn't really burn my tongue as much, or my mouth as much, so it's quite, to me, a nice tolerable heat. Heat. However, it does make me sweat. After having a nice tablespoon of that sauce, I broke out in a bit of a sweat, although it doesn't feel like my mouth is on fire. It does have a bit of heat, but it's not so much that I can't stand the heat. Now, as for the 3.17 kilograms of juice that I drained, no, it was in kilograms. I measured it in kilograms to measure, because remember, all the tomatoes was 6558 kilograms, and I drained the juice when I put it over, so it's in kilograms, but yeah, it's liters as well. But yeah, 3.170 kilograms of juice, or liters, same thing. That's not going to go to waste. I am still going to use that to make another sauce with some of the habaneros. It's going to be a thinner sauce, and I'm going to strain it as well, so it will be more like a Tabasco consistency instead of the rustic. But I think this will pack a lot more heat. But habaneros are very flavorful as well, very fruity. And that's just because I don't want to waste anything. So I'm going to quickly just put the habaneros through the food processor and chop it up nice and fine, and then I'm going to make a nice sauce with this one. Maybe I'll add a bit of sugar to make it a bit sweeter, or, well, let's start and see how we progress with this one. Where's this lid? So I've got the habanero that I added to the juice on the stove to boil at the moment. I need 792.5 milliliters of vinegar to add to that, or let's say, so we're gonna go to 750 mils. So Lucian is going to add the vinegar. We went for about 850 milliliters. He's going to add it to the sauce. There we go. And that will be a thinner sauce. Hopefully more something like a Tabasco. But we'll see. Thank you, Lucian.
You're welcome.
So I don't think, well, I forgot to record it actually. But I took the sauce and strained it through this sieve. And the pulp is left over in the sieve that I will mix with a bit of salt and leave it to dry and make like a nice chili garlic brine salt, and strain everything into this bowl over here. I rinse the pot and I will just add that back to the pot and let it cool down for now. And as you can see, there's no residue, so this will be a nice and thin, clear sauce. And our rustic sauce is also on the stove in the pot, just busy cooling down, while we are still waiting for those bottles to steam sanitize. So we've sterilized the bottles. I'm reusing some bottles. And then we'll just bottle it. Then I'm gonna cap it with some new caps, and afterwards I'll pasteurize it so it will be shelf stable. So we are going to start with a thinner sauce first. All you need is your funnel and your trusty ladle. While these sauces, well, this one stand, it might separate and settle out a little bit. If you don't want that to happen, you can add a little cornstarch in the mixture just to keep everything in suspension. But I'm okay with this just like this. Take a new lid. So the strained sauce, I've bottled 10 of them. That's all done. And now we are going to start with our rustic sauce.
That was a mixed sauce. So this will be better with boerewors. Or like real South African
boerewors rolls.
Yes.
And the smell is making my mouth water.
So you take a sip.
I'm just going to clean the rim of the bottle because it overflowed a bit. And when we seal it, we just make sure that there's no residue there, otherwise the bottle, the cap won't seal properly.
Then
Although there's no oil or anything here, but it's still just good practice, best practice to make sure that the lid is completely clean and all the rim. And there you have it. We have a rustic style or a rustic farm style hot sauce, as well as a strained thin Tabasco-like style of habanero sauce. And I've kept bottle 10 of each of the rustic style sauce. I've got about 1.5 liters, 2 liters left over that I've put in the freezer to freeze, and I'll bottle that at a later stage. And then I've got 2 samplers, one of the thin strained habanero sauce and one of the rustic style thicker farm style sauce, which I will take to work tomorrow and let some of my colleagues taste and judge and yeah, to tell me what they think about it and to see whether this is worthy to sell at farm stall and to market. But otherwise, I love it. I let my brother-in-law taste both as well. He loves it. And yeah, that is one way of us preserving our harvest. Yeah, so it's beautiful to have a hot sauce born from our garden. It's tangy, it's fiery and full of character. And yeah, basically if you enjoyed this recipe, don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to the channel and share it with our fellow homesteaders and farmers. Until next time, keep experimenting, keep fermenting, and I have to say that fermenting the sauce instead of just cooking the ingredients together, does give a greater depth of flavor to this hot sauce. Yeah, and let's keep the tradition of preserving our harvests and canning alive. Let's learn not to rely on our grocery stores and big food companies, but remember that we can make our own, which is healthy and tasty and, in my opinion, just so much better. Love you and see you in the next one. Goodbye.